Now, the saying goes that a hero is only as good as their weapon, and there is some degree of truth to that. While it is amazing that you're able to spout volumes on how the big evil, TM, of the land is going to rue the day that they crossed your path, that statement is a lot less imposing when you're wielding what amounts to a half-broken plastic fork that bends by looking at it too hard. Therefore, when it comes to video games, it's all about equipping our heroes with the best weapons for the job at every possible opportunity, and will sometimes go to great lengths to unlock and acquire devastating additions to the arsenal. This obviously means that some weapons don't even get to see the light of day, either because of their poor stats or joke status within the title, yet maybe we should pay closer attention to these dull and rusted bits of scrap, as sometimes, just sometimes, their true potential is hidden to all but the most dedicated of fans. So for those willing to put in the graft, these weapons can become truly deadly and rightly feared. So let's take a look at them. As I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are 7 terrible video game weapons that became ultimate weapons. Number 7. The Wooden Sword, Ninja Gaiden on the Xbox. The legend of the wooden sword from Ninja Gaiden on the original Xbox is the stuff of a legend, a joke weapon in a video game built from the ground up to pretty much laugh at your failures. Not content with making the title harder than Sub-Zero's nipples, the devs gave players the option of wielding the pathetically puny wooden sword, which enemies will rightly bat away as they pummel you over and over. Aside from challenging yourself in an already supremely challenging game, what could the point of this weapon ever be? Well, it turns out that the wooden sword is actually the most powerful weapon in the game, just hiding in plain sight. In order to turn the wooden sword into the unlabored flawlessness, the player must upgrade this weapon to its max level. However, in order to get full power out of this weapon, they're also going to need to do something else, and that is take some damage. For you see, the weapon only reaches ultimate status once you drop below 25% health, wherein it dishes out so much punishment it can actually feel like the game is finally on a fair playing field. Still, it does kinda suck that you've gone through all of this effort and have to risk being one-shotted yourself to get the most out of this weapon. Still, for those willing to run the razor's edge, this is the sword for you. The only saving grace about this utter face cave of a grind is that at least you don't have to use the wooden sword while you're farming materials to upgrade it, allowing you to use any of the other, much better weapons in order to do battle, although this point is somewhat diluted when you realise that you're still having to use these weapons without upgrades because all of your resources are going into the aforementioned weak source broom handle. It's not a fun ride. Number 6. The Flail of Ages, Baldur's Gate 2. The Flail of Ages, not just what parents call their kids dancing to today's latest ear bleeder, but also one of the most powerful weapons in one of the most powerful video games ever made, Baldur's Gate 2. However, as with anything in life, in order to get the most out of this flail, which apart from carrying the +1 status isn't all that much to write home about, you're going to need to work hard to unlock its true potential, all of which begins when you look to acquire the missing heads of the weapon thanks to a side quest you get early in the game. Heading to the ancestral home of the quest giver, you're tasked with clearing the estate as well as recovering the missing pieces, which will lead you on a grand tour of every room. But trust me, it is worth the trek, as upon being attached to the main body, you'll now find that you have access to cold, acid, and fire damage on top of a hefty stat boost. Yet we're only half done, as if you head into the game's Throne of Baal expansion, you'll find a smith who is able to attach 2 more heads, poison and electric, and turn the weapon into the Flail of Ages +5. With every elemental damage possible in the game, you can bypass nearly every armor, exploit all weaknesses, and best of all, witness those beautiful animations sparkle, shimmer, and burn all at once. Number 5. The Model Gun, Final Fantasy VII Dirge of Cerberus. So there are quite a lot of guns to play with in the rather offbeat and kind of bad but still good game known as Final Fantasy VII Dirge of Cerberus, and as such it's quite hard to keep track of which firearms to carry into battle and which to file straight into the bloody garbage bin. Now on the surface, the model gun seems like the last thing that you want to use for the simple fact that, you guessed it, it is a model gun, meaning it's sporting the lowest base attack in the game, seeing as you're quite literally shooting pellets at high armoured enemies. However, deep within this gun is something truly special, as believe it or not, it is the Ultima weapon in disguise. In order to coax out its greatness, you'll need to modify this weapon. However, it's here that the game pulls another trick on you by at first conning you with the silver and gold gun upgrades, which are utterly pitiful and not cheap in the slightest. Therefore, many might have given up long before the game hits you with a whopping 200,000 gil price tag to upgrade the gold gun any further. This eye-watering amount is going to take hours upon hours of grinding in order to unlock unlock, but trust me, it is worth it. Once you shell out, you'll receive an utter showstopper of a hand cannon, which possesses a base attack of 200 at all 3 ranges, meaning it's quite literally the perfect weapon. It might have taken you an age to get here, but you'll be putting down enemies in mere seconds with the ultimate weapon. Number 4. Devil's Arms, Tales of Symphonia. Now what the hell is this then? These are likely the words that fell from your lips upon picking up any of the Devil's Arms in the stonkingly fun Tales of Symphonia title. As while each of these weapons carries cool names like Heart of Chaos or Soul Eater, they also come with a rather shocking damage output, that being precisely 0. Now, the last time I checked, weapons are supposed to do damage to enemies, so what use is an item that has all the threat of a warm bubble bath? Well, it's here that the truly devilish detail of these Devil Arms comes to light, as the attack power increases with each enemy you kill, meaning that if you begin a murderous rampage, you're soon to see the power of these weapons jump up. Now, to be very clear, these weapons will still absolutely suck come the end of your first and maybe even second playthrough, but on your third trip around the sun, assuming you're even up for it at that point, you will be one-shotting most enemies and even some bosses, which makes the game a hilariously trivial experience. Number 3. Broken Straight Sword, Dark Souls. When you've got a game utterly littered with iconic and legendary weapons, it can be very hard to stand out from the pack. However, seeing as the game in question is Dark Souls, a franchise known for utterly trolling players, of course one of its best weapons starts out as objectively the worst item in the game. Seriously, a dung pie has more potential than the Broken Straight Sword, and yet with a ton of item investment, blood, sweat, and very, very salty tears, one can turn this blunt letter opener into the Great Sword of Artorias. Now, as with any discovery made in Dark Souls, this was likely stumbled upon by some absolute masochist clearly trying to do a run using this pitiful piece of metal, who, after leveling up the sword to +10 and clearly ignoring the braying laughter from their friends, took the sword and infused it with the soul of Sif, turning it into a monster-cleaving beatstick. Now, while not being the strongest weapon in the game, what makes the Greatsword so special is the fact that it deals magic damage in addition to its physical, meaning it can obliterate spirits, and also has a launcher with its strong attack, and also scales with faith, which is fairly rare in this game, making it a true blessing for those that want to add a bit of punch to their prayers. The only drawback is that you'll most definitely have to kill Sif. Bless him. Number 2. Magikarp, the Pokemon franchise. Oh boy, Peter's going to be on my case with this one. Now I say this because while a Pokemon isn't a weapon in the sense that most people would expect, by definition, weapon means a thing designed or used for inflicting bodily harm or physical damage, which Pokemon definitely do at the behest of their trainers, or at least in the case of Magikarp, try to do but utterly fail at. We all remember the abject feeling of horror when we chucked Magikarp out into battle to see what our newly gained Pokepal could do, only to effectively watch it gasp for oxygen and flop about the place, before likely being kicked in the eye by its opponent, and likely for first-time players, this was enough to relegate Magikarp to its ball forevermore. However, for those that stuck with this rather pathetic-looking creature by having it open their battles and switching it out for somebody actually capable of fighting back, their patience was eventually rewarded with something that was as cool as the bloody Squirtle Squad sunglasses. I'm talking about the big bad aquatic lad known as Gyarados, a monster of a creature that gained access to not only a decent set of stats, but also the incredible Hyper Beam, which could and would one-shot opponents. Talk about going from a 0 to a bloody hero. And number 1, the M1911s, Call of Duty Black Ops 2 Zombies. So the zombie apocalypse has just hit the Call of Duty franchise. Whoops. And things are starting to look very Gateshead on a Friday night, which I can definitely say because I live there. So I ask you, what weapon are you going to grab to protect yourself with? Now, obviously there's going to be a less than polite queue for the good old trusty shotgun, as its reputation as a zombie pastemaker is pretty unrivaled. And of course, you've got the M16 and the overtly ludicrous ray gun just waiting in the wings to cause chaos, and as such it's very likely that you're going to ditch your starting weapon, the M1911, really bloody quickly in the quest for more firepower. Well, more fool you if you did this, my friend, because it turns out that this little pea shooter can turn into an utter powerhouse with just one trip to the Pack-a-Punch vending machine. Now true, every weapon gets a significant boost from these machines, but I ask you, do they all split into 2 separate guns that reload in half the speed, fire insanely quickly, and also, yes, did I forget this, shoot exploding bullets? Almost as a reward for perseverance, the M1911s that you unlock are utter murder makers and are capable of clearing screens and breezing you through waves as you cover yourself in gore to the chorus of your own laughter. It is good times all around. And there we go, my friends, those were 7 terrible video game weapons that became ultimate weapons. I hope that you enjoyed that, and please let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below. As always, I've been Jules. You can go follow me over on Twitter at RetroJ, or you can swing by Live and Let's Dice, where I do all of my streaming outside of work, and it'd be great to see you over there. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.